All right, all right. Welcome to Cult Report number 31. 31. Where am I? 31. Cult Report number 31. So before I share screen, we're going to kick off with some updates. So it's been a pretty big week for the boys in the school. Rick, you want to?
Yeah, we we posted last week that we were going to paid this week, but it took a little bit because we wanted to make sure the Siren Call challenge was there. Because if we're going to a paid, even just $7, then there needs to be some type of transformation for these members, right? If it's free, then maybe you just get away with the conversation. We think everything should be transformational, but especially if you're paying anything, then you should be getting something more than just content because we don't believe in building containers for content. We believe in putting people on a mission. So that's why we built that Siren Call challenge, because before you build your whole tribe map to really find your flavor and get people drinking the Kool Aid and coming back for more, that takes a lot of moving pieces before you can get there. Just understanding the right member, mission, and method is like the nuts of bypassing the skeptical subconscious, and more so just understanding what do you do. Like, most people have a hard time communicating what we do. In which case, how do you build a community and get people bought into that mission if you don't even know what it is, right? So, I mean, it helped us build or I guess rebuild. Well, in the first place, it's how we launched Call Creators, but it's also how we use the tool to rebuild our About page, because we noticed we're getting a bunch of the wrong members. And so that helped us understand why. And so now the Siren Call Challenge is live in the community. And so the Find Your Siren Call Challenge is essentially an AI tool that you run through your About page, paste your About page, and it'll pick out these three pieces needed to bypass the skeptical subconscious, because it's based on how people make decisions. So if one of those pieces is missing, then you're probably losing members. And that sucks if they're the right members, right? So that's where, if you don't have an About page yet, if you haven't started a community, then there's a different part of the tool that helps you find these three pieces. So then you can move forward in the right direction, knowing what you're building, who you're building it for, and what the hell we're doing together, right? So whether you have a community or not, run through that Siren Call challenge, because that is step one in communicating what you do before you can really build or optimize anything. So now we
That's in
can
the
use $7
classroom.
a month. And we're starting with the Siren Call challenge. Well, we're starting with a Kool Aid test still, because if you have a community, we do want you to understand what's missing from that community. Knowing the first step in fixing it starts with attraction.
So yeah, audit the whole thing, get your score. Then we know that you can't have good retention without good attraction. So who you're calling in is the best form of attraction and engagement and retention. So then go to the Kool Aid test, figure out how audit, and then go to the Siren Call challenge, and then figure out, are you milk? Are you Kool Aid? So you can get a clear understanding of who you're attracting, and then therefore why your score is the way it is. So, and then of course, once you're ready, you can install the system like Jen just did. Jen just bought this week. She's ready to go. Also, I'm updating the flow. So currently it's attraction, engagement, retention, and they're pretty heavy modules. And so talking to the robots, especially Fable 5, it's like, well, this isn't the best way to implement it. It's the best way to teach it. And so it's like, okay, let's see it from the other way around. Now it's 6 parts. And so it's a little bit easier to check the box, move on, check the box, move on. So by next week, hopefully the school will all be updated, and a lot of the content is the same. It's just easier to implement step by step this way. So the boys have been busy.
Like what we were talking to Bree about yesterday, and she's like, I don't have a classroom built. I don't know what to build yet. And we're like, I get it. Like, especially if you're teaching people similar, like, I guess she doesn't have a community model, but like, we had to take our past experience and build a classroom without knowing who was going to join our community in the first place. And then once we had months of data, we rebuilt it. And then we have more data, we're rebuilding it. So it's easy to get caught up in like all of the things that you need to
I'm not
build
ready.
to create a transformational experience. But there's only so much you can know in advance. So if you haven't launched yet, I wouldn't get too caught up in what the classroom looks like, because it's inevitably going to change.
Yep.
Yep.
Just
All right. Call
fumble
report.
fuck forward, right? Okay.
Bumble fucking forward. That's all we can do.
Speaking of which, we're on week 2 of the new cult report. 2, 3, 2.
I think two.
So I think 2. So now new format. Before it was just very much like, hey, this is what we're doing. Now it's a little bit more, mass market style where it's like, hey, this is what's going on in the world. And so this week, the big boys, they're not just asking people to join their thing anymore. So for years, we've been talking about identity, get people in on identity, right? Everything is identity based because that is your behavior is subject to the identities you hold. But now it's going deeper, right? And so they're asking to like, what subset do you belong to? So the best brands aren't just leading with an identity and have an identity, but it's how you express that with almost like micro identities within it. Like, how do you belong, right? And so this is the optimal distinctiveness theory. And I originally had this as the topic of the week because of how much we've talked about differentiation this week and how much we realize like that is everything, especially on school. There's thousands of schools. There's hundreds of competitors for everybody here. And so it's how do you stand out, right?
We've lost our
Crash. School needs to get this together.
Even Laura said, I asked about the Siren Call challenge. She said, it made me really think about my differentiation, mostly simplifying my positioning. So, on the other hand, she feels like she's in constant pivot mode, like it's never good enough, which
Same.
it's like building a website. I mean, like we're trying to take our life's experience and put it into basically a quick sentence. It's not easy to do, especially with humans who are growth oriented and always changing. So, but yeah, the idea is that you find that positioning that creates differentiation and you just go harder and harder down that road. So, until you find it, it's going to be a lot of pivoting. But that's why we built this. So, once you find it, it's just constant iteration, optimizing, going deeper into that corner of the internet. So, you can build that reputation around one thing. Because, yeah, or else if you don't have that differentiation, people don't have a reason to join.
Yeah, that's everything. And so, but again, like why people join, right? So people join a tribe for 2 reasons, and they both have true at the same time, right? So they need to feel similar enough to belong, right? That's why we always lead with similarity and how it should be a mission of like-minded people so that as soon as you join, you feel like you already belong. But then within that, it also needs to be different enough to matter, right? So belonging and meaning are the 2 pieces that we always come back to. They have to feel like they belong, but not just belong. They also have to feel like it means something to them, right? So it has to be different enough to matter to them. Because if you only have one of these, well, then it's like, okay, I feel like I'm one of them. Like entrepreneurs, I help entrepreneurs like grow their business. It's like, okay, well, I guess I belong here because I'm an entrepreneur, but it's like, it's not different enough to matter. Just like the hundreds of AI communities, it's like, okay, you want to help people with AI? Sure. Then you belong here. But it's like, but it's not different enough to matter. You have to figure out what your differentiation is within that to make it unique enough that they can't get this anywhere else. And that's how you get a customer call, right? And so within that, then really diving into who's doing this the best. But the 2026 What Matters trend, I've never heard of them, but We Are Human 8. I guess they do a trend every year. And just love looking at the trends because it's just so interesting to see how human behavior is the same as always, but yet it just changes so like on a small level every year. But last year was all about regaining control in a chaotic world, right? Everything is like now AI is coming, all of these, like there's so much going on that people wanted control. And so last year was a lot about selling control and certainty. But this year, it's still kind of like that, but within that, it's a recalibration of identities. And so it's like what it means to be who they are and where that belonging lies. Like people still need to feel like this is who I am and I'm expressing this is who I am, but they still want to belong to these places, but they still want to feel like they can express that, right? And so it's like these like subtle sub identities within. And so Fisherman's Friend came out this in Asia. You can see like Chow Kang Champion, BT already, whatever. But Fisherman's Friend is a global brand. Everybody knows them. They've been around forever. And I think for the past like so many years, it's just kind of like it's a product. But now they're kind of really getting into the identity game. And so they have these personality types within it. Walking red flag as a flavor, and main character energy, situationship specialist, It's a way for people to identify within these, because it's like, sure, you're going to buy something for your throat, and you're probably going to buy a Fisherman's Friend because it's a relatable. It's a constant in your life. It's a trustworthy brand. But then, like, what makes that decision versus something else? Maybe price. But if you see an identity that you hold, a walking red flag, you're a lot more likely to get that and tell the story and post it on socials and share it. So you feel seen, you feel like you belong to it, and you feel like you kind of matter. And then I saw this one. The Gist is a company. And so they believe, I love that they lead with their beliefs, but they believe that sports are better when everyone belongs. But there's like, their big thing is that sports fans are like, people who cater to sports fans are always catering to the diehards, the people who have all the stats and they know everything about every player. And they're like, but there's so many, right? There's so many underserved, overlooked identities within that. Like, not everybody knows every stat, but yet, like, they're like mostly talking about like women and queer, right? And so they cater to these other sub identities of like, maybe you're not diehard, but like you still love sports. You can still like, their video is like some girl at dinner showing her man what an offside is and the rules behind it, right? And so they're capitalizing on this trend while also trend jacking the World Cup. So this is like really put them on the map. And so they say fandom belongs to everyone. And so they're targeting the overlooked ladies. And apparently it's too soon to talk about like their numbers, but they said they're very happy with their stats so far. And so people want to feel
her. Katie Burks met the girl behind the Gist at a wedding in Mallorca. And apparently she's really awkward, really quiet, really introverted. So I think it's ironic that she has a platform like this.
Yeah, and apparently the merch is going well. And it's just kind of like that fandom belongs to everyone. It doesn't say much, but it's a belief. But then they look at for queers, for women, and so they create these buckets within it. And so it's going really well, obviously, because you have this big thing that we do, and then within it, it's you find your place that you belong. So people want to feel like they're a part of something bigger, but they also need a way to feel like themselves within it. So within that, I was like trying to think of who does this really well. And I was like, man, Patagonia. There's a reason they are a $1 trillion brand. And that's because like it started by a band of climbers and surfers, Identities, and the values that these people hold. So that was their big thing. Like, if you care about the outdoors. So Yves, or whatever his name is, he started it because he realized as he's climbing things, like it's hurting the earth, it's hurting the rocks, it's rusting everything. And so like, that's not sustainable. That's not good. And so if you care about the outdoors, there's a good chance that you own some sort of Patagonia, or you know about the brand, like you care about it in some way. But they're magicians in this like sub identity targeting, because just thinking about, and I mean, like, I barely scratched the surface with this. Like, it could go so deep, but you could be the granola guy, mountain climber, right? Like our boy Josh Ford, he just got his ordainment so that he could help ordain people at the top of a mountain because he loves climbing mountains, and he's already like the photographer. So he's very much the granola guy mountain climber. He wears Patagonia, and so he wears their jackets to stay warm, but it also signals that you climb mountains, and it also signals that you care about the earth. But then there's like the eco-conscious signaler. Maybe they don't climb mountains, but they care about the environment. They are environmentalists. And so then the quality materials that they buy, the Don't Buy This Jacket campaign, really targets to these kinds of people. And it just, they signal that they really care about the earth. And then you can just go full-blown activists. There's full-blown activists. Ben and Jerry's are really good for the activists, but Patagonia does that as well. They have volunteer programs, they have local organizations. And so there's a way to actually get involved with it all. So yeah, you care about the environment, but they have so many different ways to subtly show what kind of way that you are, like what kind of identity within that are you, and then how to signal that to the world, because that's what clothing mostly is signaling who we are, what we believe, what we stand for. And so that's full Kool Aid. They're one of few $1 trillion brands.
Yeah, you've mentioned that, but I'm like, when I Google it, they're valued at $3 billion.
It's weird. Maybe they stacked up enough that they had trillions in their bank, but I know that $3 trillion went into a trust.
$1 trillion company.
I think Apple is. I think Apple was the first. Okay, we'll make it billion to keep it legal. I don't know.
Okay, Apple's valuation exceeds $1 trillion.
Yeah. I just remember hearing Patagonia put $3 trillion into a trust. Maybe there's like a whole bunch of other ways that could be, but or maybe I'm wrong. Either way, they did something right. It's one of the few brands that are known around the
They're a cult
world,
brand. That's all
and
that matters.
they are fully a cult brand. So, but then also one in the making.
Yeah, we worked with Jeff Lee on helping him tighten up his tribe map and turn that into his community and classroom indoctrination, etc. So, yeah, he's all about like the brand is monstrosity. So he creates monstrous fighters, MFers, which I love the double entendre behind that, especially for his persona. I mean, it's masculine, it's competitive. So
it's mostly dudes.
Motherfucker energy is endearing, not offensive, right? So in terms of his member mission method, it was all very milky before we got involved. And so then we tightened up the right type of fighter because he was talking about Muay Thai,
BJJ,
Taekwondo, like
wrestling.
all of the ways, boxing, all of the ways people show up as a fighter. We're like, but are they the same type of people? So we got it down to like fighters in the ring, because fighters who are outside the ring, it doesn't apply as much. But either way, that part didn't matter as much because fighters is already pretty specific. It's what is the mission we're going on? So we crafted make the last round your best round. It's very specific. It's very quantifiable. You either did it or you didn't. Again, it's not something you like hit once and maintain. It's kind of an ongoing thing, but it's clear what success looks like, right? Last round, best round. You want to be the last one standing. So how we get there, the unique methodology is if they believe that the fighter with the biggest engine is the last fighter standing, as long as they want that, then they're going to want to know his unique methodology to get there.
The how.
Right? So in order to create the biggest engine, then we got his methodology down to 5 pillars that all sound similar, right? So force, fire, fury, forge, and fuel is his methodology. Force, hit harder. Fire, last longer. Fury, stay explosive. Forge, embrace discomfort. Fuel, sustainable energy. So the first 3 are how they work out. The 4th one is more of like comfort challenges. And number 5 is eating. So it's really fitness, fuel, like working out, eating, and mental stuff. But we just rebranded that into very specifics because now force, fire, and fury are the workout pillars that they test and diagnose their biggest weakness. And so he's got a diagnostic tool that when your engine's maxed out, it looks like a ring, which is the whole point of being a fighter, right? So if it doesn't look like a ring, there is clear dips and weaknesses, which point to a specific pillar that becomes their next step. So maybe they need to work on force because they're not hitting hard enough. So it all comes back to the same thing. So even though everyone's kind of on a different page, they're all the same type of people on the same mission, following the same method. It's just what their area of weakness looks like would be different. So then, because we're talking about, there's the identity of MFer, monstrous fighter, but then we have sub-identities along the way based on their outputs. So they can say like, this is who we are, but this is where I'm at right now. And then I think the brilliance is like monster fighter isn't even the like best case scenario. It's just what we're trying to optimize for. But there's another level on top of that. What is it? Absolute savage. AK, which again sounds masculine and on brand for this fighting community. But yeah, there's another level to the game where they can unlock absolute fucking killer. So that's what we did for Jeff. And then he was saying a couple weeks after we, I guess he made those changes, that people are joining and people are buying. So before it was just not clear as to what they were doing other than working out, right? They were just fighters who worked out under his personal training.
He was a good coach, but now it's like, even if he wasn't, this thing is bigger than him now.
People understand it and people want it. People are paying. So that's all you could ask for. Happy days. So if you're a fighter, check them out.
Check them out. Link in comments.
And so
if you're going to ride the wave this week, then it's about creating micro identities inside your community, right? And so, and I'm not talking like leaderboard, like if you engage enough, you climb those ranks. It's like that is its own form of status inside it. but it's not enough to say like, oh my god, I'm at level 4. It doesn't really speak to the identities. This is about like, how does your method, right? Like, so there's the two ways. Look at your collective identity and then identify a few 3 to 5 different ways members can naturally express that identity within it, right? And so it can be ranks along the way, like Monstrous Fighter. You become this, then you become this, then you become this, by following the method and doing the things to achieve those identities. Or it can be different expressions of the same thing, like Patagonia and the gist, right? You don't rank different, they're just different subsets of the same thing. And so there's kind of 2 different ways you can do it. But if you can create micro identities, look at all the ways there's identities within it, right? Even like cult creators. Are you just starting? Do you already have one? Are you already 10K plus? Right? So we have cult classics, we have cult leaders, we have cult coaches, we have cult creators. And so we have those, right? Like right now, Funk is the only cult classic because he's made at least $3 million from his community. And so just look at where you can create micro identities within your core. And that is how you create that distinctiveness, and you can create that belonging and meaning for as many people as you can while still keeping it a tight little niche.
And that's this week's Cult Report.
That's all we got.
All right. So post your updates in the comments so we can see where you're at, who's doing what. And let's just keep fumble fucking forward.
As we do. And we'll keep reporting back.
If you see something on the internet that you feel that pull, or you have to follow somebody's mission like Debt Destroyers that I just posted about, or you feel the need to buy something or follow someone or whatever, it's like post it in there. I want to see
why
that siren call, like what people are doing to get people drinking the Kool Aid, coming back for more. The more we can spot it and break it down, the more we can do it for ourselves.
We can understand it and utilize it.
Yeah. That's what I call
Amen, brother.
Feeling that psychological seduction that you can't really explain. That's
feeling that tug. Baby. Yeah. That tug from the siren.
Yeah. You get it.
All right. Well,
nice. All right.
Let's Friday.
Let's get it.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.